Hello everyone, welcome to today's English class. I still remain Miss Ifine. Now in today's class we're looking at present perfect tense. Now we're going to be looking at when to use present tense, how do we make use of this present perfect tense, and how do we form past participle of our regular and irregular verbs. Above all, it promises to be a fun and exciting class where we're going to be learning a lot of new things. So please pay attention and learn something new today. Now, present perfect tense. When do we use present perfect tense? We use it for actions that happen at an unspecified time in the past. We use it to talk about an action that happened at an unspecified time in the past. That is an action that took place at a time that we are not sure of. That's when we use present perfect tense. We also use that for actions that started in the past and continue to the present. That is action that begins sometime in the past and is still currently ongoing. We also use it to talk about experiences up to the present. And we also use it to talk about recent actions or changes with present relevance. Now, knowing that, what are some examples of these actions that we just talked about? Now, unspecified past. She has traveled to Japan. The present perfect tense there is has traveled. She has traveled to Japan. Now, this is an example of an action with unspecified past because it doesn't indicate in that sentence when the action actually took place. Is it yesterday? Is it last week? Or is it last year? But it's an action that has been completed in the past. Past to present, we have he has lived in New York for 5 years. He has lived in New York for 5 years. The present perfect tense is has lived, and this is telling us that this person has lived in New York and is still living in New York for about 5 years now. Then we have experiences. They have tried sushi before. Recent changes. I have just finished my homework. I have just finished my homework. For experiences, the present perfect tense there is have tried, and for recent changes, have just. Now, the next thing we're going to be looking at in this class is how do we use the present perfect tense when we're dealing with sentences or want to write sentences in the positive structure. Now, in this case, all subjects take the past participle form of the verb. All subjects take the past participle form of the verb. Now, I, you, we, they are all examples of subjects. We have. Now, in your present perfect tense, two things are very important: have, has. You have to make use of those two things when you are talking of present perfect tense: have, has. And then the verb eat is written in its past participle form: eaten. I have eaten, you have eaten, we have eaten, they have eaten, he has eaten lunch, she has eaten lunch, it has eaten lunch. Now, that is for the positive structure. How do we make use of this in the negative structure? Now, for the negative structure, it's still going to be the same with just a little bit of changes. And where is that changing occurring? In have and has. It takes the negative form: haven't, hasn't. I haven't eaten. You haven't eaten. We haven't eaten. They haven't eaten. He hasn't eaten lunch. She hasn't eaten lunch. And so on and so forth. Now, how do we make use of this present perfect tense in question structure? Now, in question structure, they take the subjects take the past participle form of the verb. And if you notice, have and has comes first before the subject, then the past participle form of the verb. For example, have I eaten? Question mark. Has she eaten lunch? Question mark, and so on and so forth. Now, the next thing we're going to be looking at in today's class is how can we form the past participle forms of regular and irregular verbs. Now, remember that in order for us to make use of our present perfect tense, our verbs have to be in their past participle forms. Now, how do we find the past participle form of many of these verbs? For regular verbs, it's quite easy. Regular verbs, you can easily get a past participle by adding d, ed, or ied. And for irregular verbs, there is no consistent pattern or past participle form. So it's going to be a little bit tedious, but at the end of the day, very simple. So now we're going to be looking at some irregular verbs and how their past participle forms are gotten by adding the letters we previously mentioned. For example, now we have if the verb ends in a silent E, simply add D. For example, live, hate, bake. Simply adding D gives you the past participle form. And if you also notice, it's also the same for their past tense. Live, hated, baked. Now we also have verbs that you just simply add ed to get their past participle form, like your talk, clean, watch. Adding ed gives their past participle form, which is talked, cleaned, and watched. Now, for verbs ending with letter Y, we simply remove the Y and replace it with IED. Like your cry, carry, study. They'll become cried, carried, and studied. If you see your slide on your screen, you can see where the Y was replaced with IED. Now, for irregular verbs, we know that they do not follow a unique pattern. So most times it can be simply tedious to get their past participle form, but at the end of the day, they are all very simple and easy to understand. We have some examples of them on the screen. Be is been, begin, begun, bite, bitten, break, broken, bring, brought, build, built, and so on and so forth. Then we have our for and since. Now, for and since also play a major role in our present perfect tense. And we're going to be looking at how these two words form a major role. Now, for indicates the duration of time. In the present perfect tense, for indicates a duration of time. For example, we have I have studied medicine for 5 years. She has played the piano for 3 years. Now, if you look at for there, it's just telling us how long this subject has carried out those actions. Now, for since, what role do they play? Since refers to the starting point of the action, while for tells us the duration of the action. Since refers to the starting point of the action. Example, I have read 30 pages since yesterday. He has worked as a teacher since 2010. We have waited for her since 8 p.m. So, these are some of the ways we make use of present perfect tenses, and we have looked at how we can form them in various structures, positive, negatives, and questions. And we've also looked at how we can get our past participle forms of both regular and irregular verbs. I personally have enjoyed today's class. I hope you have. And if you have any question, please do not hesitate to drop them on the comment sections and you'll get prompts and swift answers to them. I hope you enjoyed today's class. I look forward to seeing you in the next class. Bye.